Welcome to the Citrus Podcast Show, your fresh squeeze of music, art, and culture. As always, I'm your host, Richy. This episode is brought to you by Security Firearms Training Academy, located in Northern California. If you're looking to become a security guard or gain the necessary skill sets and certifications in the civilian defense industry, head on over to safta-inc.com. Click the link below. Use promo code CITRUS to get 10% off your classes upon sign up. SAFTA takes pride in helping those actively make our community a safer place to live. Again, use promo code CITRUS, C-I-T-R-U-S, to receive 10% off your classes. Today, our special guest has actually been on the pod before. He was on season 1.
Throwback.
Throwback. So it's awesome to have you back here.
Yes, sir.
He is a rapper out of Sacramento. He's the creator of the Wavy Dad Club. Today we have the Wavy Dad himself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me, man. It's good to see you for a second time. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome. Welcome to the Atrium. We got a new studio, and Citrus is back for season 2. So
it's great to see, man. And the setup, compared especially to your last one, the setup is incredible. It looks amazing in here. I appreciate you having me, bro. For real.
Definitely, yeah. The old setup was low budget for sure, but now we're doing some higher quality stuff, and
yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, thank you, man. Well,
absolutely.
Thank you for making your way out here. You got me swagged out today, and
yes,
some
sir.
of the Wavy Dad Club gear, the new
sir.
Letterman,
one of the exclusive Lettermans. I only made a small batch of those.
Okay,
but I like making like statement pieces.
Yeah,
and then getting them to people that should be wearing them. Mm-hmm. It's a really important thing. There's a Nigo from Bape has this rule. It's like the 50-50 rule.
Okay.
So you make 50 pieces,
mm-hmm.
you give 50 away. Sorry, you make 50, you give 50%, and you sell the other 50%. So it's just a way to get your brand out there, recoup some of your money, but really just to have the impact of like the most important part, I think, of having a brand is the presentation and how you present it to people and how you give it to them. You want it to be an experience more of just like, oh, cool, a t-shirt, and me rip the tags off and shit. You're like, it has to be kind of a package. So
yeah,
that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
I've taken a lot of time off of like my other creative projects to just get my life in order.
Yeah.
I had some life-changing events last year. So I've just been trying to like reorganize what's priority and what's like passion projects and what I should really be focusing on. And, lately I was like, I've been working on the brand for a number of years since 2019 is when I did like my first little drop. And I've just been doing little stuff here and there, trying to like just keep it moving and experiment. And then now I've like dialed in what I want to do, and I've locked in my manufacturers and stuff. So I'm like, now's the time to just run it.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
For the listeners at home, you want to give us a little background about how the Wavy Dad Club started and how you got into fashion and clothing designing?
Yeah, so Wavy Dad Club started in 2019, and I was just like at this point where I wanted a cool, like, I had recently had my daughter a couple years before, and there wasn't at that time really like dad brands. Okay. I don't think. I didn't really see like any representation for that. So at the time I was like, I just want to make a brand for cool dads. And I was like throwing names around in my head, and then like Wavy Dad came out, and I was like, oh, that's tight. And I actually I made it my Instagram handle immediately. And I was like, let me see if this shit's like available. And I snagged it, right? So I was like, cool, I got that. And then at that point I was actually working on a different clothing brand. And I've had a number of them over the years. Like you start off like as a kid, and it's like I was inspired by, I was just big into streetwear, and I was like, I want to have my own brand.
Yeah.
So over the years, I've had a number of them that just like tried and failed. Nothing had substance. And when I stumbled upon Wavy Dad Club, it was one of those things where I was like, it has some substance to it. Like there's something that can resonate with people. And being a wavy dad is like, you're still your active father. You're making things happen in your kid's life. You're also taking care of your own priorities. You're making sure to keep your health in line, making sure to, focus on your own creative outlets, which I think is the most important part of it for me, is really focusing on like the artist, the entrepreneur, the, whatever type of person it is that has that passion that they're still going after while actively raising their family as well. Because you meet a lot of like old dudes sometimes, and it's like you could tell they had a passion when they were younger. Yeah. And because they had to make sacrifices for their family, they just like let it go. Okay. And it drains on them for years because they're like, I wish I would have still pushed myself a little bit to still have my outlet. And so making sure that we highlight that, like, hey, it's okay for you to have that outlet. That's kind of the whole thing for me. It's also, I think, a healthy way as a father to kind of get some of that shit out, you know, like when you're upset of life, you know, a creative outlet is important. Yeah.
So you are a father, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I have a 10-year-old daughter, bro.
Okay.
I started this Wavy Dad shit.
Okay. Does she call you that?
No, not at all. She calls me Dad.
Okay.
You know what I mean? She's
not like Wavy Dad.
Yeah, no, she rocks it though, man.
Okay.
You know, she's super supportive of it, and like she knows that she's the catalyst to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I tell her all the time, like I wouldn't have ever done any of this stuff if it wasn't for you. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think that is something that one, it makes her feel special, which is important for a young girl. Mm-hmm. You know, like to feel special, and it is one of those things that it shows to her like you can make stuff. Yeah. Like you can have an idea one day and then you can make it come to life. Yeah. You just have to keep trying. Like there's been a lot of failures within Wavy Dad Club, right? Like,
within everything that you're trying to put together, and you can't get to the point where you are now without those, you know? So
absolutely.
They're lessons.
They're vital. They're vital, dude. You have to have those failures. And that's why I think a lot of people like give up on shit is like they have the first one or two are expected, but after the third, fourth, fifth, you're like, dude, like I just can't win. Like I can't catch a break. And it's really disheartening. And it's easy to want to say like, fuck it, I quit. Yeah. You know, like I'm not going to do it anymore. And I kind of got to that with music like recently, you know, but like recently I've been trying to really rekindle like my love for having fun making music. Yeah. Not making music for whatever outcome. Like I'm not worried about streams or sales or any of that shit. Like I'm getting back to the point where I'm just making music because I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, that kind of pulls all the fun out of it. The things we have to do nowadays as artists.
Yeah. Well, turning your hobby into a career is also like a terrible thing, dude. Because then you could just grow to resent it.
It's stressful
over time, and you're like, fuck this. I don't even want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So thankfully I'm coming out of that little, you know, hole I was in, but it's tough to like claw out of, you know, it's like, fuck man, like
it's tough, but I think, you know, taking those breaks, you come back and you're like, yeah, like you said, rekindle, you know, you find your passion and you're doing it for the love of it, not just because you have to, you feel like you have to keep up with other artists.
Yeah, and for the love of the game, man, I feel like LeBron.
I wanted to ask you, you know, where you get your inspirations from for your clothing brand, you know?
I try to pull from a lot of different places. This one actually, like the design is based off the Fight Club logo. Okay. So kind of like the tilted font like that, like stacked on it. That was kind of like a Fight Club thing, but I pull it from everywhere, man. If I see something that looks cool and I feel like, man, that would look really dope, like with my brand name, like then I'm going to do it. You know, like right now I'm trying to keep the collection small and a little bit more concise. Today I dropped the flannels though. Okay. So there's also a part of me that's like, I have to keep it rigid and clean. Yeah. But then there's the artist part of me that's like, fuck it, bro. Like put a couple things out that are different. I only made 6 of them or whatever it may be. So I like to keep that exclusivity, but I'm trying to make it where the presentation's very clean. There's like always basics, like t-shirts and hats are like foundation things. You gotta have those, you know, but the jackets, and then like I'm doing, I want to do some leather goods and stuff like that. Like focus on like, what are the things that people use every day, especially dads? Like, what do we use every day, bro? Like, one, I have to make sure I leave the house with my wallet. You know, like, that's the most important thing. Right. So I'm like, man, let me do some Wavy Dad leather works and stuff like that. And I also am big on like the Supreme approach. Like, fucking put your name on everything, dude. Yeah. You know, brand everything that you feel like is going to bring use into people's lives. Or there's even the statement things like the brick, you know, like Supreme did the brick, and it was like they can put their name on anything and it's going to sell. So I don't have that same vision with Wavy Dad Club. I really want it to be something that has more substance and is like over time, you know, create a foundation and stuff like that focuses on like rehabilitation for dads. You know, like the first time I was on your show, I was deep in active addiction to drugs and alcohol, and I'm almost 4 years sober. So
hey, congrats, man.
Thank you, man.
That's
I appreciate
huge.
it. April 4th will be 4 years. So
congrats. That's awesome.
In that time, I've learned a lot. You know, a big part of me getting sober outside of the main things, you know, the most important things, is I kept having this thought of like, I'm the Wavy Dad, and yet I'm presenting myself in this way that is just like, it's not acceptable. You know, like I'm always drunk.
Yeah.
I'm acting a fool. I'm talking crazy. Like there's nothing to look up to in that.
And it's hard to be serious about your craft and what you got going on when you got, you know.
Yes. It's almost impossible to be serious about your craft, because even when you're being serious about it, you're not even in your right mind. So like your judgment's already skewed. So you're already 2 steps behind.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, man. So thankfully, you know, with the whole getting sober thing, like that was kind of I knew at that point it was going to take a long time for me to get to a point where I was kind of fully recovered from that. And this has been something that through the years has kind of like kept me like going. Like, I know I'm just going to keep slowly building the brand, and like people are going to see it and it's going to resonate with people. And it's for dads, you know, by dads. Like that's the whole thing is it's really to highlight fathers. And a lot of times we don't get the credit in society. You know, there's like this like war on men, like war on fatherhood, bro. And it's like dads are the foundation, the part of the backbone of the family. Especially
the fathers that are actually showing up for their kids.
Yes, dude. And it's like when you talk to, man, it's like my daughter, you know, like I'm not going to put her on blast or anything like that, but it's like she'll, you know, tell me about other kids. And it's like that kid probably has a bad home life. Yeah. You know what I mean? So for the dads that are present and healthy and active and like really concerned about the future of their family and their children's health and all that stuff, bro, like those are the things that I feel like we should really be focusing on and highlighting, not any kind of negative bullshit, because it's easy to find the negativity if you look for it. Yeah. And if that's all people are seeing, then it's like it's really easy to find the negativity. Right. So you have to highlight the silver lining or it doesn't shine. So, you know, it's one of those things where that's all I'm trying to do with Wavy Dad Club is really push it to a forefront where it's like it's recognizable in the sense that when you see somebody else wearing it, you're like, hey, bro, you're like, I know, you a good one. You know,
you're part of the club.
Exactly.
You know, you're building a community, a family.
That's the biggest part, bro, is it builds a community in itself that embraces that type of thinking, you know? So it's like, and also it holds you accountable. Yeah. Because if you're surrounded by people that also have that same kind of mentality, it's like it kind of is like you have to be willing to like think in that way. Like I have to do better. You know, so also a big part of like just being men is accountability. Yes. You know, and being able to accept that we have faults, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, but being able to own up to that and be like, hey, you know, like I'm man enough to say that I made the mistake and
take accountability and fix it, do better.
And the best apology is change behavior. Yeah. You know, so it's one of those things where we all make mistakes in life, but as long as we can move past that shit and just, you know, focus on what's really important, bro. Life goes on and it happens fast.
Yeah. So, especially as we're getting older here.
Bro.
And when you have kids, I feel like when you have kids, life goes by way faster.
It changes. It changes.
Because you have a metric watching your kids grow up.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I don't know if you've had this thing yet, but like when you look at yours, because you have
I have a son.
Okay.
He, I'll make this short, but he just turned 4, and on his 4th birthday, we took him to Sky Zone. Okay. Ended up breaking his leg. Nice. Poor little guy.
Boy dad shit, bro.
Tibia, and so he's in a full leg cast right now. Okay. Get better soon.
Yeah, prayers to the little man. Get better soon, bro.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Is that his first leg break?
Yes, that's his first broken bone. I don't think I've even had a broken bone. Maybe when I got older, but I feel like that's a record right there. 4 years old, already out there.
See, it's like I say, it's like sometimes you'll have these moments where you look at your kid and they're like like my daughter's 10, and I'm just thinking about when I was 10, you know, and I'm like, how much different my life was versus how her life is, you know? And I think that's another really important part about like the whole idea of Wavy Dad Club is that a lot of us didn't grow up in the best families. We didn't have the best upbringing. So it's on us to have the accountability and be able to say, just because I grew up in a fucked up situation, like that's even more reason why I'm not going to have my kid grow up in that situation. And the things that happened, you know, whatever my parents' relationship might have been, that's not going to be the relationship that I have with my daughter's mom, even though we're not together, you know, but it was like, there was a period of time where my parents wouldn't speak to each other, you know? So trying to make sure that my daughter doesn't grow up in that same kind of environment of like resentment and hostility and stuff like that. 'Cause it follows you in life. you know,
so you want to be where it ends, you know?
Yeah, it's that stop the cycle mentality,
Yeah.
you know, of like, hey man, like this shit's gonna end with me because I'm man enough to say, damn, that shit really fucked me up.
Yeah.
You know, and that's hard as like men for us to like accept, like, damn, bro, like that one got me, you know, and being man enough to like accept that shit and call it what it is and you know, wear that shit as like a badge of honor almost.
Yeah.
You know, because like, some people don't make it far enough to even go through that shit. So, you know.
Very true.
Yeah, it's big wavy dad shit, bro. You know what I mean? And I made it my life too, bro. So
so are these limited drops you're doing? You said you're doing small quantities to keep rolling out?
The hats will be a consistent thing that I'm always going to be reordering hats. Yeah. The t-shirt designs are going to change over time. I'm really, really big on, I think the hat is the perfect like fashion accessory. Yeah. Especially like a black hat with a clean design because you can wear it with everything. And I tell all my brand owners, I'm like, think about this, dude. You're going to give somebody a t-shirt. They're going to buy a t-shirt. They're going to wear it maybe twice. Yeah. You know, and then they're going to throw it in the laundry. It might sit in the laundry for a week, dude. That's a week they haven't worn your shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
They might wear this joint every single day. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like you maximize the visibility. Hats are like everybody loves a good hat, bro. Yeah. And I'm going to do new styles too. Okay. So I'm not going to leak anything.
I don't know if this was an older hat, but there was one that was like a blue corduroy.
Yeah.
That was clean.
That was my first like fully manufactured drop. Okay. Because when I first started making clothes, bro, it was just like I was buying blanks, you know, and I'm just like applying stuff to the blanks. And my first couple were horrible. They were so bad, bro. Shit was ass, honestly.
I mean, that's how you got to start. It's almost like a proof of concept, you know?
But what got me is there was people that wanted to wear it. Yeah. Even though it was terrible. Shout out to my people, man, you know? But there was people that wanted to wear it even though it was terrible. And so, like, it made me want to continue doing it. And I've learned as I've gone. And so the hats will be a reoccurring thing. T-shirts, like I said, I'm going to keep changing up the design, keep it fresh. And then I'm doing like one-of-one pieces and just like exclusive drops and almost dope. Like low-key, almost like test print stuff. Yeah. That I know there's people out there that like exclusive shit. Yeah, and they're definitely. Like, oh man, only one of these was made. Right. You know, like that's fly to me. So I like to cater to those people because I'm one of those people too. And I'm like, sometimes I want to have the only one. Yeah. But yeah, the blue ones, that was my first time that I ever manufactured anything. And I did baby blue with the baby blue satin inside, and then I did black with the black satin inside. Okay. I like doing the satin lining because it protects your hair. Yeah. So, like, if you just did your hair, you got curly-ass hair. So, it's like, it's going to protect your curls inside your hat, bro, you know? So, that's got to protect the waves.
Exactly. That's cool that you're thinking about stuff like that, you know, going into your brand. And, you know, it's not just like throwing a logo on a Gildan t-shirt. Like, you're worried about the quality.
I did that, to be fair. I did that.
But you're worried about the quality and you know, the design and, you know, because you want people to wear this. Like you said, a hat can be worn every single day. Yes. And so you want it to be comfortable and you want it to be done right. And that's awesome that it's, you know, that your brand has progressed in that direction where now you got some real quality. You're going to be doing limited runs. You might, you know, the one-on-ones, like that's huge. It brings a very exclusive aspect to your brand. And
thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Awesome. What about some baby carriers? You're going to do some Wavy Dad baby carriers?
Honestly, hey, I'm not going to lie. I want to do a diaper bag, like a fly diaper bag. That would be dope. Like a leather diaper bag, like real nice, like crafted leather. Okay. Like something that's going to last. Okay. I don't want to do any of the like polyester, polyurethane bullshit. That shit cracks. It's garbage.
Well, yeah, us dads have to be looking cool while we're carrying all the
bro, and it's so important, man, because like having that confidence, it's going to instill confidence in your kids. Right. Because your kids are gonna see, oh, dad is confident and he's like full of himself in like a positive way. Yeah. You know, and it's like that's going to resonate down to your kids because then it's going to teach your kids how to be confident. And being confident is like one of the most important things you can do in life because if you're not confident walking into something, you're already you're fucked. Yeah. You know, it's like you have to, I tell everybody, you just got to walk into places like you're supposed to be there. Yeah. You know, like you're supposed to be here.
100%.
Every room you walk into, you're supposed to be there. And nobody will question shit. And people will like follow your lead too. So you know?
Yeah, it's contagious, that kind of like energy and aura you bring into a room. And I definitely get that from you, even from the first time meeting you, the first pod we did.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, and that was, dude,
that might have been.
I don't even want to go back and watch, because like watching stuff to when I was still using, like it's just, even my old music, dude, like my first like recorded songs, like I was so drunk, dude. Like I was just on drugs. Like I can't listen to that shit now.
It was a different aura, but no, it was still, and I mean, that podcast, that whole season's actually like offline. So we're kind of starting with season 2 here.
I love
like
it.
The real, now that we got
the Phoenix.
Yeah, now that we got the production. Because I've had people ask that, season 2, where's season 1? You don't want to watch season 1.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to put things in the vault and let them just chill, because you're like, but that doesn't need to be seen by the public.
Right, but it's a part of the story, part of the journey.
Absolutely.
And
I respect that, dude. I've done the same thing with a lot of creative stuff. It's like sometimes you just got to leave it in the past and, like you said, like learn from it and make sure not to do that same shit again.
Yeah. Exactly. So we were talking about, how it all started as far as you getting into fashion and the clothing brand. But I wanted to talk about, so you were, did you start with pop-up shops, or has it always been online sales?
It's always been like direct sales.
Direct. Okay.
Yeah. It was always just like on the gram, like, hey, like I'm making shirts, holler at me, like, Cash App, Venmo, whatever it is. I'll ship it to you, or we can link up. So most of my sales have been direct. I just recently like really got the website dialed in to where now people like from across the world, www.wavydadclub.com, by the way, can shop.
We'll put it up for you. Right?
So people all across the world can shop now. And so
that's awesome.
But it was one of those things where when I was really starting to like push Wavy Dad Club was when I had my clothing store.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely, yeah, man. RIP Best Coast Vintage. It was my dream, bro. I sold clothes for a long time. I've always been like a big like thrift dude. So I was real heavy in thrifting way before it was cool. 2012.
And I feel like that's where you get a lot of the inspiration too, is doing
absolutely.
That's where
absolutely, bro, because it's like it's got to be more than just t-shirts. Like there has to be another kind of influence to it. So, and it's like if you're only looking at what's current and modern and trendy, then you're missing out on like a whole world of possible influence. So you should be able to pull influence from anything, but
definitely. So you moved into this shop. This was in downtown Sacramento.
This was in this shit was in North Sacramento, right on Del Paso Boulevard in Dixie Ann in the north, man. It was a very lively neighborhood. Shout out my people in North Sacramento. But my guy Carlos from Go to Bed, which is another brand, he had this building that they were doing a little store in, and he was also working on a restaurant at the time. So his focus wasn't on the store, it was on the restaurant. And there was this like dungeon, like, bro, like it was like this shitty little dungeon room in the back with no windows, and like it was terrible.
He's like, you can have this.
He's like, you can rent this spot out. And so at the time, like all I ever wanted to do was open a thrift store,
right? Because
I'd always been like, there was a time in my life where I didn't have any money, and I had to go to the thrift store to buy clothes to wear for a job interview, and it was like, in that process, I was also finding fly shit that I wanted to wear and that people wanted to buy. So I realized at one point, I was like, I can start selling. And like, I just had the eBay, and I was doing Depop and all that stuff for a while, and working little bullshit jobs, like getting myself to the point where I could like stumble into a storefront.
Yeah.
And that happened, and then like worked out of that little dungeon back room for like a year.
Okay.
Getting to know the neighborhood and getting to know like my business a little bit better. And eventually I moved from the back room I took over like the front half of the building. So I was slowly moving towards taking over the whole store.
Was that from your merch, or was that from the clothing, like doing good
that was
in
from
sales?
like vintage, and that was from a couple different factors. It was not from doing good in sales.
Okay.
Because that was not doing good in sales for that first year, dude.
Because they put you in the dungeon.
I was getting cooked. Also, in that area, bro, there's not a lot of like foot traffic for buying vintage clothing.
Gotcha.
It's not that type of foot traffic. No shade.
So you had to bring the people out, a lot of good marketing.
Yeah, and then I was doing the antique fairs, so I was doing pop-ups for the vintage, and like I was doing swap meets, like little pop-ups, like anything that I could to just sell merchandise to bring money back to reinvest.
Definitely.
And then eventually I ended up taking over the whole spot. And I was doing streaming on Whatnot. I was doing pretty good, man. But then like I just started to feel physically like not great. And I just thought I was like hustling. I was like, I'm fucking working myself to death. Like, and I didn't realize that I really was working myself to death. Cause at that time, like I did almost a year in the front and then was getting ready to sign another lease. Okay. And I already had the whole like negotiation done. I had the lease. I was just waiting to put my signature on it.
Cause at the time, were you subleasing it out?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I was just subleasing. So I was ready to sign the lease and I just like got physically ill. And in the span of like a month and a half, dude, I lost like 40 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I dropped down to 120 pounds, like skin and bones. People were like, bro, people approached me and thought I was smoking dope. People were like, are you on like Chris? I was like, nah, man, like, I'm just working constantly. Like I'm always at the store. My diet was super bad. I wasn't drinking water nearly enough. But also I had undiagnosed type 1 diabetes. So I had no clue that I was like literally going through these phases where my body's trying to kill itself. So that's why I kept feeling like shit all the time because my blood sugar was either spiking up to like very unhealthy levels or probably spiking down to where like I'm about to pass out and I don't know what it is. So
what was like where you felt like, okay, I need to go in and see what's going on with
eventually I was talking to my mom. And my mom is a doctor. So my mom's like, listen, this is what I think it is. I thought I had like a fast acting cancer or something, bro. Like I thought I was cooked. I thought I was done. At first I was just pushing it off. And this is something that I think is really important too. And I hope anybody who's listening, if you're like caught in your little rat race and you start to feel something like different about your body or your health, like don't put that shit off. Yeah. Because I could have known that I was a type 1 diabetic months before. I started showing symptoms in November of 2023. Oh, wow. I wasn't diagnosed until January, February, March of 2024. So there was like 4 months there.
Where you were kind of putting it off because you didn't think it was anything serious.
Yeah, I didn't think it was anything serious. Entire time, my pancreas has already stopped working. My body's not producing insulin. Oh, no. When I went to the hospital, I thought the building that I was running the business out of for, the last 2 years was an old ass building. It was built in like the 30s. Okay. It for sure had mold at some point. And I thought I had mold exposure. And like I walked into the hospital and I was like, I think I was exposed to mold. And they looked at me and they're like, dude, it's not mold. We can tell right now. And they like took me back. And the nurse asked me and she's like, are you diabetic? And I was like, no, like, I don't think so. Nobody in my family's diabetic. And they checked my blood sugar. And when they checked my blood sugar, they looked at me like I was already dead. So wow. The healthy blood sugar range for you as a non-diabetic, your blood sugar right now is probably like 80. Okay. Mine was 1,260. Jeez. Yeah. So I was 10 times over the healthy point. And then you have what's called your hemoglobin A1C. Okay. And that's like your total blood sugar level for a span of like 90 days. A healthy person is 6. When I went to the hospital, it was 16. So the doctor's like, you're dying right now. Like you're about to go into a coma. Jeez. If you didn't come in right now, like you would have gone into a coma likely tonight at some point. I mean, you probably would have died just like in your store.
That's insane, man.
Yeah. So
what was going on through your head like when you got that information?
I was like, no fucking way.
Didn't believe it.
No, dude, I'm so stubborn about shit. I was just like, nah, like it's not that. But like, sure enough, that's obviously, what it came to be. So it was hard for me to accept because like at that time, because I was sick, I wasn't able to work at the speed and the capacity and like I wasn't able to hustle like I was supposed to, so I was falling behind.
You're slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, and so I just had listed this big sale for the business and it started the day before, it started the day I went to the hospital. or maybe the day after or something like that. So I'm in the hospital stressing because I have like 700 messages on Facebook Marketplace from people like, hey, is the sale going? And I'm like, oh, now all the business that I haven't been able to get for the last 2 months is now at my store, and I'm in the fucking hospital, laid up in the ICU for 3 days.
Gosh.
Yeah, man. So it was like, it all led up to this point. So it's like I had this weird moment in my life where everything that I had been working towards and everything that I thought was important all like wrapped up in a ball, just kind of like I realized in that moment that none of it mattered. You know, because it was literally to the point where when I woke up after being at the hospital, because I was in ICU for like 3 days, and I was like conscious, but my body was so drained that I had no energy to move or to do anything. So I was basically just asleep for like 3 days. And they would wake me up to give me insulin injections to try to bring my blood sugar down. I forgot what I was saying.
Just about them giving you insulin and the sale. The sale
Yes, I'm stressing about that, dude, and just like I didn't want to accept it because in my head I knew I was like I'm probably gonna have to like for sure close the business.
And you also probably didn't. You're like I can't get to all these people right now. Like reply to all this. And it's like what am I gonna come out and say?
I was fucking stressing, dude.
Because it's like news to you, and you got to take it all in. You need some time to you know digest what you just got diagnosed with. Yeah,
because I also didn't understand. This is a common misconception. Most people don't know the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Okay. So type 2 diabetes is the more common diabetes. Most people that you meet that are diabetic have type 2 diabetes. It's like 95% of the diabetes population is type 2.
Okay.
Type 2 in a lot of cases is reversible. If people have better choices or, you know, making better, healthier choices in their life, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times type 2 diabetes can be reversed.
Okay.
Type 1 diabetes it cannot be reversed. So it's a chronic illness. It's lifelong. I will die with type 1 diabetes, if not from type 1 diabetes. So it's one of those things where I'm insulin dependent, so my body doesn't produce insulin anymore. So I have to take insulin injections every day. Like I'm on an insulin pump. So I have a little like pancreas on my arm that holds insulin and gives me insulin throughout the day.
Yeah, how's that been like adjusting to all these new things you have to do? Took some time.
It definitely took some time. When I first got diagnosed and I left the hospital, like the amount of insulin they were telling me to take, like right now I would never take. You know, they were telling me to take like just for example, like they were telling me to take 8 units with each meal, which means that with each meal, I would have to be eating roughly 100 grams of carbohydrates in order to cover my insulin intake. But I wasn't eating that many carbohydrates. So my blood sugar was constantly going low because I had too much insulin in my body. And insulin is the hormone that brings your blood sugar down. So if your blood sugar goes down below 40, you're in the danger zone because now you're at risk of falling into a diabetic coma.
And is that something the meter on your arm is constantly checking, or are you doing where you have to like poke your...
I do finger pricks most of the time. Well, I do finger pricks sometimes because my sensor and like any of my type 1 diabetics that hear this are going to relate to this. A lot of times my sensor just says like no error, or it says error, like no information available.
Need new batteries or?
No, because they're individual use. So it's like a separate little piece. So I have my insulin pump and then I have my CGM. My CGM reads my blood sugar levels and then communicates the information to my pump. And then my pump gives me insulin based off what my blood sugar levels are. But I still have to give myself insulin for when I take meals and stuff like that. So it's like, one, I've always been bad at math, and now I have to do hella math all the time. I had never really read like a nutritional label before I got diagnosed. And now literally everything that I eat or drink, I have to know how many carbohydrates are in it.
Yeah, the diet is probably huge.
The diet's crazy.
What you can and can't have as well.
Yes. And the thing is, I can have whatever I want if I am willing to deal with the consequences of it. Like earlier, I ate half a donut and my blood sugar is probably at 286 right now. Yeah. So, you know, it's like I have high blood sugar right now, but it's because I wanted to indulge a little bit. So it also, it's a weird thing because I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like a blessing, but the information and the knowledge that I've gained from my diagnosis has been a blessing because I have a better understanding of how to take care of myself and how to be healthier and like try to make better decisions, and also the possible outcomes of things that I do. Because the cold part is, even throughout being an alcoholic and a drug addict and all that stuff, that didn't play into my diabetes diagnosis.
Interesting.
Yeah, one day my pancreas just stopped. I have late onset type 1 diabetes. So.
Is it hereditary? Or?
No.
Oh, because you said no one in your family has it.
My grandparents have type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
So usually type 2 is brought on because of poor diet choices. It's one of the leading like diseases in the United States because as a whole, the United States is very unhealthy. A lot of people have diabetes. A lot less people have type 1 diabetes. Not to minimize type 2 diabetes.
But this is more serious.
They have their own struggle. But type 1 is definitely a little bit more serious because I could die right now if I took too much insulin and didn't have the glucose to correct it.
That's scary.
So I've had those situations where I fucked up and I took a little bit too much insulin and then I didn't have the carb to cover. And then I'm like, my blood sugar the alarm will go off. And I have it on my Apple Watch. I have it on my work phone. I have it on my phone. Yeah. I have it on my insulin pump controller and my insulin pump goes off. Dog, trying to get a full night's sleep sometimes is impossible because everything is going off. So it's just like, I tell people I live in this state of like constant anxiety just of like my diet and how it's going to impact my blood sugar. So over time you start to, realize how certain things impact you. And now I'm eating a lot healthier overall. I'm human, so I still have to like, indulge in like cakes and shit like that every now and then. But, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like me and my kid made brownies the other day. I'm like, I'm not going to not eat the brownie that me and my child made. Like, no, like we're going to share that moment, so. But yeah, man, that's the diabetes thing in a nutshell. That's the biggest change that's happened in my life so far. Cause it's like, I've had things happen in life where I was like, oh, it was a near-death experience. But this was like a legitimate near-death experience where the doctors told me, they're like, if you didn't come in today, you would have been dead tomorrow.
That's crazy, man. It's a miracle right there. That's
thank the Lord, bro.
Yeah, God got you in there, and just perfect timing. It was on His timing.
Yep.
When was like the bounce back moment? When was the moment after going through all of that where you were prepared to get back into your passions of, the Wavy Dad Club and music? And, when did you finally get the strength to, start attacking these things and getting back to it?
It took a little bit of time, like learning how to kind of live with my diabetes. That took me months. Okay. It took me months to figure out how to just be comfortable leaving the house and like knowing that I'm going to stay alive. Yeah. And it's like, I don't ever mean to be dramatic when I say this, but if you know anyone who's a type 1 diabetic, or you're a type 1 diabetic, or you grew up around somebody who was, it's like, it's serious. Like those panic moments where it's like, you think you're going to die, and it's like, I don't know if my blood sugar is going too high, if I'm going to have a seizure, or if my blood sugar is going too low, if I'm going to have a seizure. So I had to get comfortable with like leaving the house and going and doing things. And then it took a couple months even from there to really like, I got back to work, and from there I started saving up a little bit of money again. And I was like, you know what, man, like I'm just going to make this choice. It was right at the beginning of the year when I was like, see, there goes my insulin pump right there.
You got to do it.
No, we're good.
Check. Okay.
It's because it expires in 4 hours, so it tells me. I have to change it every 3 days. My insulin pump and my sensor I change every 10 days.
Oh, there's like a subscription.
Yeah. Dude, kind of. It's kind of fucked up, but yeah, it kind of is like that. But it was like right towards the end of the year, I realized I was like, I have to like reinvest in myself. And I have to create something because I was going crazy. Like I'm an artist, bro. If I don't create, I lose my mind. Yeah. So I had to find something. And I was at a weird point with music at that time because I just closed my business. Like my main hustle just got taken away from me. Like I didn't feel like I had the, like I didn't have like the oomph, like at the time that I needed. And so around that time. But even then, like today, bro, this morning, I was at the studio, you know, and it's like, shout out my guy, Colt 45. I was at the studio and like mixing down this song to perform tonight, you know, and it's like, I got a little bit of that, like, okay, like I'm trying to, it's almost like I fell out of my shoes, you know, and then I put them back on and they didn't fit the same. Yeah. And I'm like, it feels a little bit weird and it's going to be funky walking around a little bit, but like eventually, you know, I'll get molded back to that where I'm supposed to be. So that's
kind of like my son being in a cast, you know, he's going to have to relearn how to walk again. So.
Yeah. And he'll be better at walking now.
Yeah. Hopefully. I want to hear a bit about the beginning of you getting into music, you know, some of your first projects. And then you did drop, I don't know if it was in the midst of all this that was going on or before, but you dropped a project and you were doing some shows, like a mini tour you put together. So I want to hear about that project and how you got into music.
So the music thing is like any other like 90s kid, bro, you know, I got exposed to hip hop at a certain point and like it just changed my life. You know, a big part was the Dave Mirra BMX soundtrack, bro. And the first time I ever heard Gangstar. Okay. Like that moment right there changed my, like the trajectory of my life.
Are you talking about the video game?
I'm talking about the video game.
Okay. Yeah. What was this on?
On PlayStation.
PlayStation. Yeah. The first one?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm almost positive it was on PlayStation, but whole point being like it just exposed me to this new kind of music that I had never really heard before. And then I started hearing more and more, and my life shifted me in this weird direction where my stepdad, dude, old school cat from Houston, Texas, you know, he ended up opening a recording studio. His brother passed away, and his brother's goal was to always have like this fancy recording studio to do music in. And this is up in Spokane, Washington, where I lived at the time. And I watched the whole process, like finding artists, making beats, recording, doing all the mixing. I watched all this as like an 8-year-old who just got exposed to rap like a couple years ago and was like super into it. And so like from that time, I always had this drive to do music. And then I reached a point in my life where I started meeting people that did music. And I was like, well, I really want to do this, man. So I just started writing and like my first, you know, the first stuff you make is generally terrible, you know, but it's the same thing as like when I first made my shirts that were terrible, but people wore them. You know, it was like people heard it and were like, this is good. Like, you should keep doing it. So I carried on with that for a while. I
think we dwell on that too much as artists because that's a whole part of the journey. It's like you have to the biggest thing nowadays is just the start.
Yeah.
And just do it because there's so many people that are just scared to even take the leap and do it. So
yeah, that's taking the leap and then like taking the leap again. Those are the two hardest parts, you know, because you're gonna have to be cringe and you're gonna have to be shitty at something in the beginning.
Yeah,
you know, that's just part of what it is. And like finding it's like we were talking about earlier, like just the fun in it. You know, if you lose the fun of what you're doing, then it's gonna become a chore. And then eventually you're going to grow to hate it. And then you're not going to do it anymore. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was really fun for me. And then, you know, it just becomes your world. And I was putting out all this music. And at the time, I was just so excited to be making music. I wasn't even mixing tracks, bro. I was publishing reference tracks. Just like so bad, bro. I was like, I just wanted people to hear my music, though.
Hey, but at least that's a good way to look at it because a lot of people won't even put something out, you know? So it's never going to be ready, never perfect, you know? So even just getting stuff out there, you know, I think
I have mastered songs that I'm never going to put out. I'm like, wait. But yeah, you know, so then like, I don't know, man, at one point it just became like everything I wanted to do. I linked up with Skylit Music out of like South Sacramento, and everybody around me was like active in their music, you know, like really about it. And so that gave me the creative drive too to like really embrace what I was doing. And then I was getting good feedback. Yeah. Because my sound was different. I don't sound like a lot of people from this area.
What are some of your inspirations in music?
Big on the East Coast hip hop and big on like Southern hip hop too. Those were my two biggest influences growing up.
Lyricists, you know?
Like, and also a little bit more soul, you know, and then also like gritty gritty and kind of rough, like the East Coast, you know, kind of street shit.
Yeah.
And then like Southern like player shit was like my two things, you know, and like obviously there was West Coast influences later on, but like when I started listening to rap music, it was like East Coast, and then later I got exposed to Southern rap. So like UGK is still my favorite group. Pimp C is still my favorite rapper of all time. You know, so I draw influences from different places, but like my music, everybody that, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people meet me and they don't believe that I'm from California.
Because of the style.
They're like, you don't even sound like you're from California. You sound like you're from the East Coast. And I'm like, bitch, I'm from Woodland. What do you mean? I was born right up here. Like, I'm from Northern California. So, but it's just one of those things where I was doing something that to me at the time was like, I was getting all my angst out. You know, I was mad. Like, I was still drinking and using at the time, too.
It was an outlet probably for you, big time.
Honestly, dude, if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I would have been doing.
Yeah.
I just like... I'd rather have been doing all that cringy rap shit that I was doing in the beginning. Like, I guess looking back, I say it's cringy, but it was like, I'm a hip hop kid, bro. So like, I always wanted to do the hip hop kid shit that you do as you get older. Like, you make music and like you have like your own little thing that you push.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to do that for so long. And then eventually like I rebranded. I always just went over, like, I went as, like, my real name. And that's not a good rap name. It is kind of, but I wanted to have, like, a rap name. So then, you know, Cartier Cody came out of the blue because I was driving to Rolling Loud with one of my OG partners, and I had ordered a pair of Cartier glasses.
Okay. Like,
just right there on the phone, like, as we're driving, I was like, I got my Carties. And he's like, who you think you are, Cartier Cody or some shit? And I was like, that's it.
It just stuck.
That's it, bro. Like, that's it. And I published music under that for like 5 years. And then recently I just was like, man, I don't know. Like, I kind of want to rebrand and like take a step back and really reassess everything that I'm making. It's also to a point where it's like, bro, my daughter listens to my music. And there's certain things that I've said in the past that it's like, it's hard for me to justify certain things now because it's like, I have to be a positive influence for this little girl too. So I can fake the funk on record, you know, and I don't want to do that. So it's like, I just want to do fun, fly shit. And that's what I'm really trying to focus on now, especially like with the song I'm going to do tonight. You know, it's like, it's fun. It's not the gritty, you know, shit that I used to do.
Okay.
I still got a little bit of that in me, but it's like I'm just focusing on things that make me feel good to create. You know, that's what I really want to do. Because for a minute there, everything felt like a chore. Yeah, like creating felt like a chore, and then I hated it.
I hate when it gets to that point. And that's part of, you know, trying to make it a career, a business, and it definitely takes the fun away from it.
Yeah, 100%.
How did you, cause you and, the Gatlin.
Yeah, big shout out Gat, man.
Shout out Gat. He was on the same episode with you.
Yep.
Season 1. How did you guys meet, and, was he a big influence, or you guys did music together? Or?
We met through, just through the Sacramento music scene.
Okay.
You know, the Sacramento music scene is pretty small, bro.
It's small. Everyone knows everyone.
I'm like Unk now, you know, cause there's a bunch of youngsters that I'm like seeing when I go to the studio, and like people I'm seeing pop up, and I'm like, okay, like I thought I knew everybody.
Yeah.
And then I guess I don't. So, but point being, like, the Sacramento music scene is fairly small overall. So you just like be around people. And I met Gat through Skylit.
Okay.
At that time, you know, and then I introduced him to some of my folks, and, you know, that's all, you know, a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gat's good people, man.
You guys have music together? Or?
We don't have anything published.
Okay.
Yeah, I had projects that he was featured on.
Yeah.
But I've since pulled all those projects.
Okay.
Because that was when I was in my like not finishing songs phase.
Yeah.
And I was just like drunk and excited to put shit out.
Yeah.
So I was putting out half-ass songs. And I just am not going to leave those up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then now I'm at a different point in my life. So, you know, it's hard sometimes to look back. And that's why, like, I think it's really important to keep moving forward and keep creating, because if I don't, then I'm only going to have the shit from the past that I might not necessarily be in love with. But then I talk to people and they're like, bro, I love this song. And I'm like, man, I hate that song.
That's so weird how that works. There's like, it's always, songs that like you love, and it's always the one that, you you least like, and then the fans all just love that one. You're like, really? This one?
Yeah.
What was your most latest project, the one that you were touring for? I want to hear just briefly, how that tour went and what that project was, the name of the project and what was it about?
The project was called Thrift Store Dope Boy 2.
Okay.
So it was the follow-up to the original Thrift Store Dope Boy, which is still published. Thrift Store Dope Boy 2 got cut short because the creative process because of my diagnosis. So because everything happened in that time and I closed my store and I quit selling clothes, I quit selling vintage and all that stuff, the whole body of that tape was me at my thrift store, you know what I mean? So then when I closed the store, I ended up not releasing that project. So I was putting out singles and I was putting out little promo videos and stuff like that.
Right.
But then I never actually released the project and I don't know if I ever will.
Okay.
It's one of those things where it's I have the majority of it. I might. I don't know. I'm torn between the two because there's a couple good features on it. So I feel like it would be unfair to the other artists and also to the producers who helped me create that. And that's something that I'm kind of coming to the realization of too, is that it's not just Cody. It's not just Wavy Dad. There's other people that are involved in the creation of these things. And it'd be like if we had a song that I hella fucked with, and I was like, this song's dope, bro. We got an ill song, and then you never put it out.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck that dude. What the fuck, bro? We had this song, and it's just sitting. So, I have songs like that, and I've, now that I have my life a little bit more in order, I'm trying to, double back on things I might have made mistakes on in the past.
Okay.
So, trying to be more thoughtful and courteous of the people around me and the people that are involved in what I'm doing, because I think my biggest fault in music was I got the hothead mentality. It's there's this this swagadocious kind of thing that we get as rappers, bro, and it's I'm number one. And then you might be surrounded by 1, 3, 5, 4, 6. You're not number one.
Yeah.
We all collectively kind of make up what's happening right here.
I feel like that is a part of rap. It's there is a lot of ego based.
For sure. And it's part of the foundation of rap, so it's not that it's a bad thing, but
right.
it's when you get stuck in that and you're lost in that. And, it's that's when you lose your reputation and people are like, I don't want to fucking work with dude because he's too self-centered and everything's about him.
Yeah, there's a difference between confidence and, the cockiness.
It's a fine line, and just trying to be more humble. That's another thing too is I had this creative funk because I was humbled by life.
Yeah.
And so now it's hard for me to be braggadocious and shit sometimes when life is kicking my ass, bro.
But I think just being authentic.
Yeah.
And talking about your story in the music. It doesn't have to be,
And I have that. So I'm working on a project right now. It's not named or anything, but it's just the songs that I've kind of made throughout the process after my diagnosis. And I've made 4 or 5 songs that I like. I don't know if I like them enough to make them public quite yet. I'm still also I'm really keen now about there's going to be 7 mixes of this song, maybe 8, maybe 9. Before I put it out. I'm not putting out a reference track ever again in my life. I'll tell you that shit.
Yeah.
So really honing in on when it drops and I put it out, it has to be something that to me is perfect.
Okay.
If it's not perfect to me, which nothing really ever is, but if it's not almost perfect, I'll settle for almost perfect.
Yeah.
We're definitely, because that's objective.
We're perfectionists as artists. And,
it sucks.
It does suck. What song are you going to be performing tonight? You want to give us a little bit about the song you're going to be performing tonight?
Yeah, this song is called Back Now, produced by my dude, Donnie Blue. Shout out my guy, Donnie. And this is really one of the first songs that I wrote when I was just putting my toes back in the water a little bit into this music shit, because I've always been writing, but it's I went through this phase where I might write a couple bars and then just want to scrap it. or like now the beat doesn't resonate with me the same way, or like my blood sugar alarms are going off and I can't fucking write anything.
Hey, you need to sample those for a beat.
Dog, literally. That's so funny. Well, what's funny is I was like, my blood sugar this is my insulin pod controller.
Okay,
and it has a camera. Oh, hold on, it's got my phone number.
Show your camera. Oh yeah.
So it's
his medical number.
It's got a camera on it, and I was joking, and I was like, I'm gonna be the first rapper ever to shoot a music video on the fucking Omnipod 5 controller, but I can't get out of the home screen, so it's like I can't even access the camera except when it wants me to. But
okay, so what's the song you're performing tonight?
It's called Back Now.
Back Now.
Yeah, by my guy, produced by my guy Donnie Blue.
Donnie Blue.
Yeah, from Slow Burn Crew. Shout out my guys.
There you go. And what was the inspiration behind it?
The big inspiration is like kind of, how it's titled, like I'm back. I'm back now because I had to take a little bit of time off to handle some personal shit. Right. So, now I'm back. I'm starting to, feel myself a little bit more. And
are you touching on any of the...
Not really, no.
Okay.
No, it's really just, it was a way for me to kind of just like get back to feeling myself, bro, because I was in a dark place for some months, and I've always been like a really confident, like outgoing person. And when I had that shit happen to me, like it took all of that away from me for a while. So like I've been on stage one time since I got out of the hospital. So it's like even today when I was at the studio and I was rehearsing, it's like, yeah, basically just, getting back to that point.
Okay.
Where it's like everybody goes through those dark moments, but it's like you got to be willing to come back. What, you just going to walk away? Like that's the thing too, is like shout out Gat. Gat told me quitters don't win, bro.
Yeah.
Quitters don't win.
Got to stay consistent. You got to keep going.
Absolutely. And so it's like if you ever want to make it in anything, bro, like you got to take the L's. And life, most importantly, is going to give you the biggest ones. You think this music shit is bad? Like just wait till you have a health scare.
Yeah.
And something happens and you're like, I don't know what's happening to me. Like that's fear, bro. Like that's like.
It puts it in perspective what's really important.
Yes.
So
yeah, man. Thank God, that I'm here today to be able to, have a conversation with you and just be present in my life. It's
a blessing, man.
The most important thing I've learned, man, is like time is the one thing that we don't get back. Right. So you have to be very precious with your time, and you have to be appreciative of your time and other people's time as well. So trying to go into things, as prepared as possible, and always making sure that you show up for shit.
Yeah.
That's important.
And for your kids as the wavy dad.
Hey, man, show up for your kids every time. Every time. I know, we're men. We have our faults. Sometimes it feels like the entire world is against us, and sometimes it is. So as long as we can just understand that, it's like on the bottom of the hat says, it's like, remember who you do it for.
Yeah.
Love
that.
Every time that you feel like you're in that point where you're like, I can't do this shit. I don't want to do this shit. You just have to dig in and remember like who you do it for. Yep.
All right. So what's next for Wavy Dad Club? Where can we find this new drop?
Yep. WavyDadClub.com, www.wavydadclub.com. Flannels just dropped today. So that's, like I said, just like a little exclusive thing that I wanted to do just to switch it up.
Okay.
So big Wavy Dad Club patch on the back. Wavy on the patch, all the branding and stuff like that. They're cool.
Do you have these Lettermans?
The Lettermans, I do. So the Lettermans are available on the website. At this point, there's only a handful of them left. So pretty much all sizes I still have a couple available. But like I said, I didn't make a lot of them because they're supposed to be special. So they're supposed to go to people that represent what the brand is.
Okay.
So you're lucky to have one of them.
Oh, man. Thank you.
I think you wear it well. It honestly fits you perfectly.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. The only part is it's going to be 85 degrees tomorrow, probably. So it's like.
Hey, but this might be one of my freshest episodes, Hey, my fit right here.
It is the freshest episode.
And then for your music, the upcoming music, where can we find? I know you said you took a lot of the other stuff offline, but where can we find your music or the upcoming stuff?
I still have music published under Cartier Cody. So all of my past music is published under Cartier Cody. But moving forward, I just, on the rebrand, like Wavy Dad, like everybody knows me as Wavy Dad anyway. Right. It's been my Instagram handle since 2019. So everybody that knows me is like, oh, Wavy Dad. And I'm like, shit, bro, like, we're just going to have to stick with that.
Yeah.
Because I would put Cardi or Cody on flyers and people are like, who the fuck is that? Oh, it's Wavy Dad? Like, yeah. So I just had to 86 it. But yeah, man, new merch, new music coming soon. Just hit me on Instagram at The Wavy Dad and at Wavy Dad Club for any updates on all that.
Awesome, man. I'm excited to check it out.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. Well, this has been the Citrus Podcast Show, your fresh squeeze of music, art, and culture. You can follow us on Instagram at Citrus Podcast, and you can follow The Wavy Dad on Instagram at
The Wavy Dad. TheWavyDad.
Our live performance tonight is by The Wavy Dad himself, performing Back Now.
What's up, y'all? My name is The Wavy Dad. You're watching the Citrus Podcast. This song is called Back Now, produced by my brother Donnie Blue. It's wavy, man. Let's go. Yeah. Love the way they talk about me. I took a break, but I'm back now. Wavy Dads, stay on the move, and they mad cause they don't understand how I'm too nice. This full price, I don't ever let them get a discount. Lately I've been out the way, and it's safe to say that you missed out. Love the way they talk about me. I took a break, but I'm back now. Wavy Dads, stay on the move, and they mad cause they don't understand how I'm too nice. This full price, I don't ever let them get a discount. Lately I've been out the way, and it's safe to say that you missed out. Still tryna slide in the drop top fitted. Baby tryna ride damn right, I'm with it. Big wavy, I done handle my business. Heard they gave up, it's a shame I couldn't. Taking off from these runways, this corporate life until Sunday. Few days off, he about to get busy with some brand new work in the chain 650. Shorty look clean, fresh nails with the hair right. MJG, how the boys stay pimp tight. New kicks with the dub on a fitted cap. Big waves, big splash, where they know you at. Made a way when they said that I wouldn't. Once again, goddamn it, he done it. Wavy Dad on the run, no he didn't. We ain't seen him like this in a minute. Love the way they talk about me. I took a break, but I'm back now. Wavy Dad, stay on the move, and they mad cause they don't understand how I'm too nice. This full price, I don't ever let them get a discount. Lately I've been out the way, and it's safe to say that you missed out. Love the way they talk about me. I took a break, but I'm back now. Wavy Dad, stay on the move, and they mad cause they don't understand how I'm too nice. This full price, I don't ever let them get a discount. Lately I've been out the way, and it's safe to say that you missed out. Look, can't stop to the top where we going. I don't drink, but the champagne flowing. New chick, too bad if she know it. Smooth talk, go to words of the poet. Took a little break, now I'm back on my bullshit. All grown up, but I stay on this cool shit. Long nights in these early days, but it's meant to be, so I found a way, yeah. Best coast, and it's still where my heart at. Real shit, get to work, need a hard hat. Big waves when I step and I won't stop. Me and her didn't click, so we don't talk. Baby, I'ma keep it moving like I know how. Please believe I'ma win, never slow down. Wavy Dad, big time, where'd he go now? Told her check next time, now I'll be around. California for the women and the weather. It's big plays when I put this shit together. I don't do drugs, I'm a real go-getter. Baby wanna fuck and I might just let her. I can't stop, I'ma get what I want now. Way too smooth how I hit him with a breakdown. Every time I step inside the room, make it lit up. Every time I ask one, I get bigger. Wavy don't play, ask around, boy, I do this. It's all facts, I don't hang around Judas. You could eat a dick if you ain't with the movement. Anything I said, damn right, I'ma do it. I'ma stay me cause they love the kid. And I know they ain't believe, but my mama did. And it's Wavy Dad shit keeping promises. And I don't understand what they problem is, but I love the way they talk about me. I took a break, but I'm back now. Wavy Dad, stay on the move, and they mad cause they don't understand how I'm too nice. This full price, I don't ever let them get a discount. Lately I've been out the way, and it's safe to say that you missed out. Love the way they talk about me. I took a break, but I'm back now. Wavy Dad, stay on the move, and they mad cause they don't understand how I'm too nice. This full price, I don't ever let them get a discount. Lately I've been out the way, and it's safe to say that you missed out. It's Wavy. You watching the Citrus Podcast, man. Big shout out my guy Richy. Big shout out to the whole production team back here. Fuck with y'all, love y'all. Y'all brought me back, man. I appreciate it. It's Wavy.